Evening. Back in 2020, at the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, I started a regular conversation with you that came to be popularly known as fellow Ghanaians. It was a time of great fear of the unknown, and the entire world felt at risk. I came into your homes regularly to tell you what the experts were discovering about the virus and what we should do. Now that we have seen the worst of the COVID-19, I can tell you that there were moments during those times when I was distraught. There were moments when I was in despair about the apparent inadequacy of our health facilities. And there were moments when I wondered if the dire predictions made about dead bodies on our streets would truly happen. But I knew that I owed it to all of us that as your president, I had to hold my nerve, show leadership, and take us out of the crisis. With your help and support, and the great mercies of the Almighty, we can say that we emerged from the ravages of the pandemic with one of the lowest mortality rates globally. In fact, Ghana's handling of the pandemic won universal acclaim. We could all see in real time the devastation that was being wreaked on economies during the pandemic. But I doubt that anyone imagined the extent of the damage. Our economy here in Ghana, like many, many others around the globe, was thrown into turmoil. When I said, at the height of the COVID pandemic, that we knew what to do to bring the economy back to life, but not how to bring people back to life, it was not said in jest. We had done it before, and we were on course to doing it again. Ghana's economy grew by a remarkable 5.4% in 2021, signifying a strong recovery from the 0.5% growth recorded the previous year in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, in the last quarter of 2021, our economy grew at 7%, only for the Russian invasion of Ukraine in the first quarter of this year to aggravate the effects of COVID-19 and plunge the global economy to even greater turmoil from which it has not yet recovered. The whole world has been taken aback by the speed with which inflation has eaten away people's incomes. Economies, big and small, have experienced over this year alone the highest rise in cost of living over a generation, the highest rise in government borrowing in over 50 years, the highest rise in inflation for 40 years, the steepest depreciation in their currencies to the US dollar over the last 30 years, the fastest peak in interest rates for over 20 years, and the greatest threat of unemployment in peacetime, with over 100 million people being pushed into extreme poverty. Between the end of 2019 and now, inflation in Ghana has increased by 5-fold, in Togo by 16-fold, by 11-fold in Senegal, and by 7-fold in Côte d'Ivoire. In truth, however, the fact that there are petrol queues in France does not make it more tolerable that the trunk circle has doubled in the past 1 year. Nor does it make it any more tolerable that the price of cooking oil goes up every other week. It is important to state mentioning the increases in prices worldwide is not meant to belittle the scope of suffering here. Useful lessons about how other people are coping. Fellow Ghanaians, this is why I'm back in your homes this evening, to ask for your support as we work together to get our economy back into good shape. In April, after the cabinet retreat of the first quarter, in recognizing the deteriorating macroeconomy, my government announced a 30% cut in budgeted discretionary expenditures and a 30% cut in salaries of the president, vice president, ministers, deputy ministers, MMDCs, and political office holders, amongst other measures. And since July, when the government took the difficult decision to go to the IMF to seek support, I've been speaking publicly at different fora on the subject of the economic difficulties we face, especially during my recent tours, so far, of 9 regions, and interacting directly with you, the Ghanaian people. It is also true that many of you have felt the need for me to come back to the fellow Ghanaians format that brings us all together. For us in Ghana, our reality is that our economy is in great difficulty. The budget drawn for the 2022 fiscal year, that is this year, has been thrown out of gear, disrupting our balance of payments and debt sustainability, and further exposing of our economy. We are in a crisis. I do not exaggerate when I say so. I cannot find an example in history when so many malevolent forces have come together at the same time. But, as we have shown in other circumstances, we should turn this crisis into an opportunity to resolve not just the short-term urgent problems, but the long-term structural problems that continue to bedevil our economy. I urge us all to see the decision to go to the International Monetary Fund in this light. We have gone to the fund to repair in the short term our public finances and restore our balance of payments, whilst we continue to work on the medium to long-term structural changes that are at the heart of our goal of constructing a resilient, robust Ghanaian economy and building a Ghana beyond aid. I'm able to report to you, my fellow Ghanaians, that the negotiations to secure a strong IMF program, which will support the implementation of our post-COVID-19 program for economic growth, and additional funding to support the 2023 budget and development program, are at advanced stages and are going well. We're determined to secure these arrangements quickly to bring back confidence and relief to Ghanaians. We're working towards reaching a deal with the IMF by the end of the year. This will give further credence to the measures government is taking to stabilize and grow the economy, as well as shore up our currency. I know that the increasing cost of living is one concern for all of us. It is driven by fast escalating fuel prices at the pumps, which is caused by high crude oil prices on the world market and our depreciated currency. I know that this is putting intolerable pressure on businesses. I know that people are being driven to make choices they should not have to make. And I know that it has led to the devaluation of capital of traders and painfully accumulated savings. Furthermore, Government is working to secure reliable and regular sources of affordable petroleum products for the Ghanaian market. It is expected that this arrangement, when successful, coupled with a stable currency, will halt the escalation of fuel prices and bring relief to us all. I hear from the market queens also that another factor fueling the high prices is the high margins that some traders are slapping on goods for fear of future higher costs. I say to our traders, we are all in this together. Please, let us be measured in the margins we seek. I have great respect and admiration for the ingenuity and hard work of our traders, especially those that take on the distribution of foodstuffs around the country. And I would hesitate to join in calling them names. I do make a heartfelt appeal that we all keep an eye out for the greater good and not try to make the utmost profits out of the current difficulties. In language that every market woman and indeed every trader in our country understands, let me say that the basic problem we face is that we're not making as much money as we need to spend. And what little money we do make is going to pay for the debts we have contracted to fund the development projects we must have. Not enough of us are paying our taxes. Not enough of us are producing to generate the revenues that we need. Nevertheless, my ambitions for Ghana remain high. All our children should be educated and trained with skills that will enable us to be competitive in the world. We need to close rapidly the infrastructure gap. We need to build a world-class healthcare system. And we need to build confidence in ourselves to make ours the happy and prosperous place it deserves to be. I believe we can and we will find the means to achieve these goals, even if the immediate measures we have to take are painful. At the just-ended Cabinet retreat at Peduasi Lodge, my government agreed on the framework for the post-COVID-19 program for economic growth 2028.